What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Bass 365 live cast. It's been a busy couple weeks. Been on the road. Just got home from Sam Rayburn on Sunday. We've got a very special guest tonight. My buddy Bill Lowen is gonna join us and talk about his recent victory, which was a long time coming, but well deserved. So just hang in there with us for a second, and we'll get this thing started. We're back, guys. Got a little bit of housekeeping to take care of first. Tonight's live cast is going to be brought to us by Toyota USA, part of the Bonus Bucks program. If you're not familiar with that, you drive a Toyota, you certainly ought to check it out. Put some extra cash in your pocket. And Optimum Bait's one of Bill's sponsors. We're going to talk a little bit about, some of the products he used and how he got his deal done, and then we're going to take all the questions you guys can throw at him. So with no further delay, here he is, Bill Lowen. What's up, Bill?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
Good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Can't complain. It's been busy, but I'm loving it and soaking it all up.
Well deserved. Well deserved. If I got my numbers right, I think you fished 159 events. And the amazing stat there is there's been 33 you haven't cashed a check in. Yeah, okay. That's what I came up with just before we got on here. That's pretty daggone impressive. You're steady, that's for sure. The top 10s and top 20s were pretty amazing to look at. But you finally got it. You finally got that W and got to hold that big trophy.
Yeah, it's definitely been a long time coming. Been close a lot of times, and it's amazing, truly amazing to finally get it done.
The one thing I was looking at was I might get in trouble for putting this picture up there, but I'm going to put it up and just have you kind of comment on it. The raw emotion there in that picture, that's real. You can't fake it. And knowing your kids since they were little, I can only imagine the feeling that they had. And Jennifer, I'm surprised she can even talk today.
Why, you think she's been screaming a little bit?
I know she's been screaming a lot, and it's pretty crazy. I'm just glad you got it done and well deserved. But let's talk a little bit about the tournament. The situation was bad.
Yeah, the tournament was crazy in that it didn't end up being the way it was when practice started. When practice started, the lake was down. You got to turn it off.
I think you're having some audio problems.
Some interference here somewhere.
You hear me?
Are we good?
Hey, we got a bunch of viewers on here's audio sound. All right, you guys, it's a little garbled to me.
You sound like you've been sucking helium.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. That's a beauty.
You got your phone turned on?
No, it's dead. Lost it. It's not us. We got all bars. Might restart.
We're live with nobody to talk to.
Hey, Bill, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna put you on the big screen. The dog got a little aggressive, and we were talking about him earlier, and caused me some problems. But
So he chewed
anyway,
through your mic.
I don't know what he did. He's crazy. But anyway, we're back. I got you now. How about that?
All right, that'll work. I like being on the big screen.
Yeah, you're a lot prettier than I am anyway, so it works out great.
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Well, I'm gonna put you on the big screen. The dog got a little aggressive, and we were talking about him earlier, and caused me some problems. But
come on, Ricky, you can get it figured out.
Come on, rookie. You're not even on there.
He's like, what the heck?
So the dog did something.
Did you use a 3/8 or a 1/4 ounce?
Five-eighths, ain't it?
No, 3/8. So I don't know if I'm supposed to be answering this or not, but I'm going to. I used a 3/8 of an ounce to help me float that jig through the current. The current in the river was flying. A 1/4 ounce would have been definitely too light, and a 1/2 ounce would have been too much. So I definitely went with the 3/8 for that reason.
Right here. Probably have to start over. I don't know what the heck the dog is.
You might want to text him and ask him.
It's like I'm in your truck. Josh McCreary said it's like you're in a truck and I'm in your truck.
Look.
Hello, Uncle Josh.
Josh says it's like he's in my truck. And from Josh's picture, it looks like I'm in a tree stand. Chase doesn't have a choice. So the knot that I tie when I flip with fluorocarbon is always a polymer knot. I know a lot of guys don't like a polymer knot, and they tie improved clinch knots and all that stuff, but I've always been now I can't even remember what knot I tie. Drawing a blank. So yeah, can't even remember. Polymer knot, yeah. So yeah, I always tie a polymer knot. You just got to be careful with that. Make sure you wet it before you cinch it up. For guys that have a snap hook set, a polymer knot is probably not the way to go. I have a sweeping hook set. That means where I load the line up and get all my tension before I set the hook. But if you're a guy that likes to drop that rod and snap that hook set, polymer knot is probably not for you. My first thoughts when that river came up was that I'm going to get to fish this event just like I fished at home on the Ohio River.
And
Now he's unmuted me again.
I think he's having like technical difficulties.
Think we have to stop it?
No,
Oh,
he's
that's
still
excellent.
there. Because he's muted you and unmuted you. He's still there.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there he is.
All right.
Look, do I got to do this show for you or what? I mean, I'm answering questions and everything.
Hey. I'm not sure what's going on with the audio on this thing. I've never seen anything like it ever. So,
That's what everybody says. You sound good now?
yeah, I look good too, but I don't know what was
Well,
there, man. That is like crazy. But the dog came in here and ripped half my wires out, so I don't know what was going on. But yeah, so we talked about the water coming up. You know, I thought for sure that tournament was going to be canceled altogether. Uh, the way it looked. So as the water was coming up, were you just moving? I mean, I know you're a shallow water guy, so you were just moving back further with the fish. Is that like you were chasing them, or?
you know what? Actually, it's kind of ironic because I was one of the guys that was thinking, you know what, maybe we ought to cancel this event. Thank God we didn't, and the river got stable. But what happened there was the area that I was fishing, and that's one of the most popular places on Lake Pickwick. It's a big grass flat area with some high spots and isolated stumps out in it, and that's where I planned on fishing before the event started. Like I said in the beginning of the show, the lake was down about a foot below winter pool, so that puts it about 6 or 7 foot low. So I seen things on Pickwick that I never seen before. Well, when we finally got to start the event, the lake had come up 7 or 8 feet. Okay. And my initial thought was, just from my experience at home, is that when that water comes up like that and there's so much current, those fish get pushed to the sides to get out of that current. And you typically go to the first available cover there. So on the back side of that island where I was fishing, there was a lot of lay down trees that were actually dry in practice. And on the opposite side of the river, there was a whole bunch of docks. So I figured they'd go to either one of those places. And fortunately enough, on the very first morning of the tournament, when I started flipping in those trees, I immediately started getting bit. And that helped clue me in and help me settle down, put my head down to know that if I just keep going up through here, I may be able to get a bite.
Gotcha. I'm just going to roll right on through these questions because I kind of got myself rattled, and I happen to.
Hey, calm down, take a deep breath. It's just like high muddy water, man. Don't get all upset.
So what rod and line are you using? I think you might have already touched on the line, but I think we had a disaster going on there while I was.
So my rod is a Lew's custom speed stick, 7.6 heavy action flipping rod. I used a Team Lew's light reel, 7.5 to 1 gear ratio. I like that high speed to be able to move the line fast while I'm flipping. And 20-pound Seagar and Vizex was the line that I used for both applications that I was doing this week, flipping into reeds and also flipping out there on the main river on that hard cover.
Gotcha. So why do you choose not to use the braid to fluoro or just straight braid?
I've just never been a big fan of flipping with straight braid unless I'm flipping grass or with braid to a fluorocarbon leader on flipping. I don't want any weak points in that line, and I feel like with that knot you may have a weak point because let's face it, flipping like that and fishing like that, it's like hand-to-hand combat, you know what I mean? And I don't need any weak links. So I always go flipping with straight fluorocarbon unless I'm flipping grass.
And never the braid. Never just straight braid.
Just straight braid if I'm flipping grass. That'd be the only time I'd go straight braid.
Right. Talk a little bit about the jig you were using if you already haven't done that.
I have not done that yet. So the jig I was using, which is kind of ironic, was my signature series flipping jig from Lure Parts Online. We got that jig available from a 1/8 all the way up to a 1/2 ounce and soon to be hopefully a 5/8. Like I said, that's my signature series flipping jig. It's a modified Arky style jig head, which is, as we all know, it's the best jig for flipping in wood and any kind of cover for that fact. and I went with a 3/8. I went with a 3/8 this week so I could float it through the current when there was a tremendous amount of current. The only adjustment I made with that jig was on the last day when I felt like those fish went to a little bit deeper structure. I went to a 1/2 ounce, because where I'd been fishing in 2 to 4 foot, now I was fishing in, 4 to 6 foot. And I just wanted that 1/2 ounce jig to get me down there a little deeper. So that was the only adjustment I made with my jig. But for the most part, I use that 3/8 ounce.
Right. All right, we got another one here. This may be somebody you know because I don't quite get the question, but tag on. Does that mean anything to you at all?
Yeah, so I put a post up before the season started, and that's actually my nephew, and he was wearing a pink rabbit suit from the movie from the Christmas Story, if y'all remember that.
Oh yeah.
And he's into tying jigs now, hand tied jigs, and he was tying some jigs on the workbench in his pink rabbit suit. So my post said, "I'm gonna change my luck this year and have some jigs tied by a man in a pink rabbit suit." So yeah, maybe that worked out a little bit.
Did you catch him on that?
No, I didn't.
So this brings us to our next question here. What color skirt and trailer on the last day of the tournament?
So I used one of my signature series skirt colors as well. It was black and blue with blue tinsel in it. That's kind of an old school muddy water skirt color. I believe we call it black and blue flash. One of my favorite all around jig colors, especially when the water's got some stain to it. And the trailer I had on there was a Berkeley Max, and I'm not sponsored by Berkeley or anything, but that was a trailer that I was using that week. And then I also used a jig chunk trailer that Lure Parts Online made. Like I said, when I went to that 1/2 ounce jig, I went with that Lure Parts Online chunk because it's a big bulky chunk. So even though I wanted a 1/2 ounce jig, I wanted to give it that big profile, and I wanted to slow it down. So that's why I decided to go with that chunk from Lure Parts Online.
The thing about that Maxent, and I know you said you weren't sponsored by Berkeley, but John Cox, is fishing the 2 tours, and I think he's crazy. But he swears by that Maxent as a jig trailer. He said just once they bite it, they will not let go of it. Do you really think it's anything to the Maxent?
I don't know if there's anything to do with that. I just like I like that profile of a jig chunk. One of my all-time favorite jig chunks was one that Strike King made, and they discontinued it. So I'm really hoping somebody out there's watching it at Strike King so they can bring back my jig chunk. You know what I mean? So like I said, that was one of my all-time favorites because they had it in both sizes. They had it in a full size and they had it in what we would consider a finesse size. But I really like the action of that chunk a lot. That's why I went with it. One of the other baits that was key to me, not necessarily did I get a lot of bites on it, but I caught a lot of big fish on it. Some key fish that if I wouldn't have caught them, I wouldn't have won the event. And that was with a Strike King rodent. I caught some key fish flipping reeds this week. And that's what I caught them on in the reeds was the Strike King rodent. But most of my numbers came on my 3/8 ounce jig. Right.
The rodent is one of those baits too that you hear a lot about by guys that aren't sponsored necessarily by Strike King. So I think that it works for sure. I'm really curious about the Maxent though, because I know like when y'all were fishing up north last year, that flatworm seemed to dominate everything, and I don't know if it's just a mindset that they bite it better. I don't know. And again, it's a non-sponsored product, so we won't talk about it too much. But I do definitely respect your opinion, and we'll move on. So a shallow water guy like you, and all this forward-seeing, front-facing sonar, what are your thoughts on that?
I hope everybody out there gets a forward-looking sonar and leaves all my shore fish alone. You know what I mean?
Right.
But with that being said, I am a shallow water guy, and I'm in my comfort zone up there. And this year I'm running a dedicated unit, a Helix unit for my 360.
Right.
Okay. And for a shallow water guy and I don't want this to sound like a sales pitch, but for a shallow water guy that spends as much time in the shallows as I do, to not have a 360, I think you're missing the boat. Okay. But with that being said, I get a lot of questions on how well does that 360 read up there in the shallow water. I think I got some video and some pictures and stuff. I'm up there in 1.9 to 2 foot of water, and I'm getting a clear picture of the stumps and the laydowns. I know I actually did a deal on live where I actually seen a laydown out there that was not visual to the eye, that I'd had no idea was out there. If I would not have had my 360, and I made a pitch to that log, and I caught a fish off of it. And to me, if you can catch one fish a day, off of that 360, off of a piece of cover that you didn't know was out there, I mean, at the end of the year, how important can that be? You know what I mean? I know right now the big craze is forward-looking sonar. Everybody's out there chasing them around. But man, that 360 for me has opened my eyes. Like I said, this year I have a dedicated unit to that will never get turned off, because now it allows me to see cover that I'd have never seen in the past.
Right. And, I was at an event earlier this year where the guys were fishing brush piles in like 8 foot of water, and they were all using their forward facing sonar. If you didn't know better, you would think they were drop shotting in 50 feet of water because they were so dialed in on that screen. Do you think they'll ever get to a point where it's too much?
I don't know if we'll ever get to that point. It seems like every year it gets better and better and better. I don't know, man. I mean, I think at this point, I think everybody's waiting just to see what's next. You know what I mean? I'm waiting to see a live look like you're looking at your TV, fish swimming around in an aquarium. You know what I mean? It almost seems like that's what's coming. You know what I mean? But it's like anything else. You still got to get that product on your boat. You still got to learn how to use it efficiently. You know what I mean? Just because you put it on your boat doesn't mean you're going to go out there and catch those fish. You know what I mean? You got to spend time with it, and you got to learn how to use it. It's no different than learning how to use a bait caster or, skip a jig under a dock. If you don't learn how to do it, you're going to have a hard time with it, and you're going to struggle.
Right. And I mean, that comes along with anything that, whether you're playing baseball or anything you want to be good at. The more time you spend doing it, the better you're going to get at it. Hold on, I saw a question up here I wanted to throw up there for you. You kind of already touched on the rod and reel setup that you were using, but here is a line question for you. You prefer VizX over a BrazeX? Just curious as to why.
All right. So at this point in time, the InvizX is my favorite line. I've just started playing with that BrazeX, doing some cranking and things like that, and it seems to be really good and very abrasive resistance. So like I said, at this point, the InvizX is my favorite so far. But I'm gonna tell you, and I know what everybody's gonna say on here is like, oh my gosh, that stuff's crazy expensive. Earlier this year, I just started playing with the Tatsu, and I haven't played with it enough to get 100% confidence in it. You know what I mean? I'm one of them guys that I got to play with something before I get 100% confidence in it. And I've started playing with that Tatsu, and I'm telling you what, it's some of the most amazing line I've ever used. When you get a bite on it, it feels like it knocks your reel off the rod. So with that being said, even though InvizX is my favorite line right now, I'm truly going to start playing more and more with the Tatsu, without a doubt.
Gotcha. I wanted to touch a little bit on this, and one of the other guys already brought it up. Was there another bait that you threw during the tournament, or primarily just a jig?
So I had two baits that I caught everything I weighed in. One was my 3/8 ounce Lure Parts Online jig, okay, and the other was a 4-inch Strike King rodent. Now, depending on the watercolor and the pockets I was fishing, see, because on the backside of that island where all those laydowns were, there was one clump of reeds that was about as big as my boat, and I caught 3 fish out of that clump of reeds on the first day, which clued me into that those fish have already made a move to the reeds. So after I fished that island, had a decent limit, I went and started running reed pockets, flipping that Strike King rodent, and I actually caught 2 really big fish, close to 5 pounds, that I weighed in the first day. If the water was clean in those pockets, I'd use a green pumpkin one and dye the tentacles orange. If the water was dirty, I'd use a black and blue one, which we call blue bug. Flip both of those on, same rod, same line, 20-pound Invis-X, a 5/16-ounce Rains tungsten weight with a 5/0 Hayabusa straight shank flipping hook. And basically, I caught every single thing I weighed in on those 2 baits. I did catch 1 fish on a spinnerbait that I weighed, but predominantly it was those 2 baits all week long.
I don't know if this question is a setup for you, but I want you to explain it, please.
It's probably a setup.
Man, she is getting so big. I saw that picture and I was like, "Daggone, you're gonna have your hands full, Hammer."
Yeah, she's getting a little out of hand, growing up way too fast. Yeah, that's about all I can say about that.
All right, she
did
sent
catch
you
her
this
one
one
fish.
after that too. So there you go. Whatever that means.
There you go. Now she's trying to make me cry.
Yeah, so many people on it. I don't know if you can't see all the comments, but so many people are just saying, congratulations and how nice of a guy you are. And I mean that's a fact. You are one of the nice guys.
Ricky, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I haven't had a chance yet to get on Facebook or anything like that and thank everybody for the outpouring of support. I had no idea that there was truly so many people that followed me, that was fans. If this win has done anything to me, it's opened my eyes up that I have so many fans that I had no idea about. You know what I mean? Example is the first night, or the night we got back to the camper after the event was over and after we won, I had like 250 text messages on my phone. And I said to myself, I don't even know 250 people. But I made sure before I went to bed that I tried to answer every single one of those because I feel like friends, family, and fans deserve that. You know what I mean? They've been with me and had my back for so many years that like I said, I hadn't been able to thank each and every one of them. And they have no idea how much it means to me that just, like I said, I had no idea that I had that much support behind me. I knew I had a lot, but it was definitely an eye opener for me.
Right. Like I said, you're one of the good guys. We've been friends a long time, and I'm excited for you. It's awesome. I want to know, how heavy was that trophy?
I'm going to put that thing on a scale and do some kind of video about it. It's too heavy. I mean, I'm going to guess it's 40 pounds. And I mean, after you've been fishing all day and you're exhausted, and thank God you got adrenaline running when they hand that thing to you to put over your head, because the whole thing all I could think about was, I'm going to be the first guy on stage to drop this on my head, and I'm going to be passed out. Somebody's going to be up here giving me mouth to mouth, and it's not going to be good.
James Barron had a nice little comment for you here, giving random kids subscriptions to Bassmaster Magazine. Is that something you do through Bass?
That's something that I started doing on my own a couple years ago. And what I do is every time that I make the third day cut, I pick a kid out of the crowd, and sometimes multiple kids, to give them a Bassmaster membership. I know myself growing up as a kid, wanting to be a professional angler or just loving the sport of bass fishing, Bassmaster Magazine was something I always look forward to. And, for me to be able just to give back something little like that, and maybe someday that kid will be standing up there on that stage where I'm at, you know what I mean? And I always look at it like this. When I was growing up, somebody always took time out of their schedule, whether it was my dad, uncles, family, friends, to take me hunting and fishing and teach me things, and in theory pass it on. And I've always been thankful for that. So anytime I get the opportunity to do that, I try to pass it on, and that's why I do the membership for the
There's
kids.
25 going out at Lake Fork.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know about that. I mean, we traveled together for many years, and the last couple of years we haven't been together quite so much. But I need to get back over there and start hanging out with you guys, because we definitely have some fun. And let's talk about the upcoming classic. What are you thinking about that?
Well, I'm not sure. It's going to be a summertime event, but with that being said, it's been cool all over the country. Later than usual. We were just over there at Ray Roberts, and the water temperature on the main lake was about 59 or 60 degrees, depending where you were, and some of the pockets were 65. So I know there was some fish pulling up on this last moon to spawn, but I think things are going to be running a little behind this year. So maybe we'll get a lot more rain. The lake will stay up. Maybe some of them big fish will stay up there shallow, because you're not going to see me out in the middle of the lake throwing a drop shot. So we don't know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's going to be a summertime event. There may be the tail end of a shad spawn or something still going on. So we're just going to attack the classic like we do every event. We're going to go there. We're going to fish the conditions and see what happens.
So you basically don't even really consider going deep.
The only time I consider going deep is when I know that you're not going to have a chance if you stay up shallow. But with that being said, man, I've made my career with a flipping rod in my hand, fishing up in the dirt, trolling motor churning mud, in my comfort zone. So it's hard to sway from that. You know what I mean? You always hear me say, when you're fishing in your comfort zone, you fish to the best of your ability. And man, when I'm out there in the middle of the lake, and things aren't going right, I don't know how to get out of that. You know what I mean? If I'm up there shallow and things aren't going right,
Oh, now your signal glitched a little bit on us.
I know I'm fine. But when things start going wrong, put that dog away.
That wasn't the dog. That was on you that time, buddy.
No, not me. No way.
That's right. I know better. I know better. Hang on. I saw another one up here. I wanted to get you to answer it as well. And I can't find it now, so I just have to guess at it. But your number one optimum bait throughout the seasons, spring bait, a summer bait, a fall bait, and a winter bait. You have any suggestions for our viewers?
Oh man. We got a lot of stuff through Optimum. Two of my favorites are probably going to be the Boom Boom swim bait. Little shout out there for Fred Rambonis. Yeah, he makes a really good swim bait. And I'm not by any means a big swim bait guy. I think he has one that's in that 6-inch range that I can catch a lot of fish on it. And if I can catch them on it, anybody can catch them on it. But he also has some in a smaller size that you can rig weedless. So if you're a swim bait guy, and you're not checked out the Boom Boom swim bait yet, you're definitely missing out. One of my others is going to be the Furbit frog. It's our frog, and we have it in your traditional style frog and a popping frog. The popping Furbit frog is the best walking frog I've ever thrown. You can literally walk it in place. Got a great hook in it. So if I had to pick two of my favorites, that's exactly what they would be.
All right. So what I wanted to talk a little bit about as well tonight is your square bill. How does that play into your shallow water arsenal, and what are some of the benefits of the IMA square bill?
So the benefits of that IMA square bill, and that's my signature series square bill through IMA. It is I've always wanted a plastic bait that had the characteristics of balsa bait. And that's exactly what you get with the IMA square bill. It has the buoyancy, it has the hunting action. I say it's like a baby dump truck. The bait was designed to go about 3 foot deep. So when you're up there in that shallow water, it's hard to throw a square bill because it wants to get down and dig in the bottom and get all mucked up. So that's why I designed that bait to only run 3 foot. So, I always say it's like you're throwing this square bill in places you would throw a spinner bait. And the cool thing about that bait is it was designed to come through the cover. It's phenomenal how weedless it is and how well it comes through that cover. So if you're a shallow water guy that loves shallow cranking and you love balsa baits, and you haven't tried the I'm a Square Bill, like I said, you get the same characteristics out of the plastic bait that you get out of balsa. And balsa has always been one of my favorites. But the I'm a Square Bill is definitely a tool that you need in your tackle box.
And how about seasonal with that bait? Is there a time you actually don't have one tied on?
You know, I typically have that tied on all the time unless it's really, really cold out early in the spring. You know, it doesn't get deep enough that time of the year. But anytime from there on out, you know, once that water temperature gets in the, 55 and on, I'll have one tied on all the time.
All right, looks like our questions are slowing down. I'm gonna hop back on the screen with you for a second here. Hopefully we don't go crazy again, but
don't glitch us up.
All right, so we don't normally do this, but this week we're gonna have a little giveaway. The first thing is gonna be a Boom Boom swim bait. The second one is going to be a Signature Series Bill Lowen Square Bill.
So what do you got?
And I found going through my stuff a really cool power pole buff that I use them for COVID relief. But so I'm thinking about a question that we could get our viewers to answer, and here's what it's going to be. The first person that comments on any one of these outlets we're streaming on, how much does Bill think the trophy weighed? I know you said how much you thought it weighed. Let's see who's really paying attention to that, because I can promise you that I would have been the first person to drop that thing on my head. Guaranteed. No doubt about it. It's just the way my luck runs. But I think it's awesome to see. I think I could see it in your face, in your family's face. Wow, we should have picked a harder question.
No, you just got people that are paying attention.
Oh, we did have a bunch of people. So the first, here's the first one that pops up here. Scott McFalls.
Oh, Scott! Woohoo!
So Scott, if you want to send me a message over on the bass365.com Facebook page, I'll exchange information with you and get this package out to you right away. Bill, it looks like it's getting dark there in Arkansas. I know you had another interview before this one, and I don't want to keep you from your family any longer, but man, thanks for joining us. I've been excited to get this show knocked out, since you won, and give you a little shout out, because you are a good guy and a hell of a shallow water fisherman. If you ever learn how to go out deep and catch them, those boys are going to be in bad trouble.
Well, like I said, I thank you for having me on the show. And once again, I just want to thank all my support, family, friends, fans for sure. Like I said, this was a big eye opener for me, and I'll never take it for granted.
Absolutely. We'll have you back on soon. Hopefully after the next win, it won't take another 14 years. I think they got it.
I'm working on it.
You got it in your blood now, man. You got it in your blood. It usually rolls like that too. So, congratulations, man. I'm going to let you go. We'll see you soon.
All right, buddy. Thank you for everything.
Thanks, Bill. All right, guys. It got off to a rocky start. I'm not going to tell you it didn't. But anyway, we had Bill on. Great interview. Great questions from our fans. I'm going to shut this thing down, and we're going to have another guest on Thursday. Not quite sure who it's going to be yet, but just stay tuned, and we'll get this thing knocked out. Again, thanks for all the support. If you haven't signed up for the Bass 365 app, it's in the app stores. It's free. Lots of great content there. We have the social platform that's our own private Facebook-like social platform that we'd love for you guys to join us on. And hey, good night, everybody. Thanks for joining in.